news articles 32923.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see here. Can you see? Is it too bright or is it? How's the screen looking?
Is it too bright or is it? How's the screen? The screen is real bright. The screen is real bright. Okay.
Hey, hold on a second. It's too bright.
It's too bright. No. It's real good. I can read everything.
Okay, market for fake food. Jesse, watching the world. Projected to hit $3 trillion. Fake food. You think Jehovah might want to talk to people, let them know that there's fake food?
I haven't read it at jw.org. So let me just do a real. I'm gonna do a real quick jw.org. Now, have you seen any Watch Turn Awake magazines on fake food?
Yeah, I looked it up. It doesn't exist. It's a $3 trillion market, so it affects the whole world. Check this out.
So the kids already could be eating fake food in school. Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
You don't even know it.
Correct. Forgive me for being low tech, but this is all I can do. Live and have the news articles. Check this out. Be on the lookout for industry buzzwords like precision fermentation. The article basically says that they play with these words. This is what communists do. They always change the language. They're always playing with these words and make it sound like something is safe when it really is toxic.
So yeah. So I don't understand why you would Now, does the article mention anything of the source of the protein or what they're considering fake food?
No, it's just saying that our food supply is under attack, whether from technocrats waging war against real food, and they're using toxic chemicals, and so just healthy food is slipping away. So, and but the big thing, Jesse, is that I got out of this is how they use fancy words to disguise that something that is toxic. They disguise it as something that is normal. So,
okay, now let me just ask you a question because I'm new at this. And I've never met this website, but does this have anything to do with Robert Kennedy Jr.?
No.
No. So it's called The Defender, Children's Health Defense News. Okay. And the reason I ask is it had a pop up right now with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh yeah.
And he's really against the attack on our children, and he seems to be a champion. I think Bobby Kennedy Jr. is doing more for the children than the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, you would that the Jehovah's Witnesses would this information to heads of household, right? Say, hey, if you got children, you got to be careful. You got to be reading the labels. Some of this stuff is toxic. I went to a gas station, and there was this bag of chips, and in the one of the ingredients, it had like a disclaimer on the bottom, and it says it's genetically modified food. Like, I mean, telling you there's stuff in here that's not real, but this stuff is not on jw.org. So Jehovah's not watching the world, and he's not taking care of his people.
Right. So what happens is there's always an attack, and it talks a little bit about the tobacco, the attack on tobacco, and then now we have things that are worse like vape and hybrid synthetic marijuana and so forth. But they went after tobacco like if it was Satan itself.
Correct.
And then they get into this fake GMO drugs, and they don't attack it with the same venom that they attacked tobacco with.
Can you see this on the screen? The Breitbart article.
The Breitbart article would be the third one.
No, but can you see it on the screen?
Now, yes, I see the Breitbart article. Is it on the one Buen Apetito? Bon appetito. Italy will ban synthetic and lab-grown meat.
Yeah, but on my channel, when you're looking at the live feed, can you see it or is it too bright?
No, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
So Italy will ban synthetic and lab-grown meat. What the hell's up with this? You would think that Watchtower, you type in those words at Watchtower, lab-grown meat, or whatever, nothing, absolutely nothing.
So JW.org is not even touching it with a 10-foot pole, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is really interesting because what we're seeing is a suicide of Western civilization. And countries like the United States, Canada, England, the Netherlands, and it seems like Italy is trying to say, no, we don't want a part of it. And you've seen that with Latin American countries and the dollar too.
Yeah.
They're trying to get away from it.
So you think Jehovah would do the same thing?
Well, no, it seems like Jehovah's like Canada. He's in on it, on the ride.
Yeah.
He's like Obama, and Jehovah is like Biden and Obama. They're in on it. They're going for it. They're not going to say anything. Going for the ride.
Listen, can you read what's on the screen?
You know what? I keep going to the.
No, on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not following you on YouTube, but now I see the screen.
What does it say?
It says Bemiji. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, teacher.
Wants to secretly inject kids with puberty blockers.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you can see it on YouTube.
Yeah, so, it's just that I've been going to the other pages and following the.
So you think Jehovah might want to let his people know, be careful if you have children, because not all schools are safe.
Yeah. You know what? We're like in the Wild Wild West here, Gilbert.
Yeah.
So are all the Jehovah's Witnesses, are they homeschooled or are they still going to public school?
No, a lot of them are going to public school. So she has a lifelong quest of moving to Tennessee to secretly inject 11-year-olds with hormone blockers. Now listen, what I'm trying to say is, shouldn't Jehovah be warning people about what's happening in America, in Canada, in Europe with these schools? Because it's not happening in Mexico. Let's go to the next one. Can you see it on YouTube? COVID vaccines are not needed for healthy kids and teens, says the World Health Organization. This is coming from the World Health Organization.
Right.
Why is Jehovah not sharing this information with the children in the home?
Well, Jehovah is one with the World Health Organization. And so Jehovah, it's approved information. So this is new information coming out of the World Health Organization. This is new. But 6 months ago, if you were to do this, you would have been labeled a conspiracy theorist. So all of us who are saying what is news today, all of us, we were abused. We were abused, and we were lied to. We were threatened. We lost friends and family. They called us every form of name. But that's okay because we'll stay in our bones, but names will never hurt us. But 6 months ago, when we were telling everybody, hey, it's not wise, especially if kids already had COVID, to use this, we were labeled as conspiracy theorists. And now it's conspiracy. It's conspiracy fact.
Let's go to the next one. You know who this guy is right here?
Let me see. Is that Frank Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra. Yeah. He was jailed when he was, popular singer. Did that make him more popular or less popular?
He became more popular. That was 1939. That was probably his low point.
What about this picture? Will they do this on Tuesday?
Yes. That's cool.
Will it make him more popular or less popular?
Well, it's going to make it more popular. And you know what the interesting thing is?
What?
During the Trump administration, if you do a Google search, Now, Trump did not speak up for the Jehovah's Witnesses in Russia.
Correct.
Did not. But the State Department under President Trump did issue a statement cautioning the Russians against acts like the Jehovah's Witnesses. And so questions, and Jehovah's Witnesses had a lot of business dealings with during the 2016 exodus out of New York with Donald Trump's son-in-law.
Correct.
So do you think Watchtower will return the favor and say some encouraging words for President Trump?
No. So, that's a good question. Donald Trump throws Watchtower a bone with Jared Kushner. They're just takers, Jesse. Watchtower is the sleaziest MFers in the world. They just take. Not even a thank you. Remember Kevin Bacon when he bent over? Thank you. Can I have another? At least he said thank you. Damn. That's a good point.
Yeah, do a Google search on I think the State Department did a comment about exercising their rights on the fight against terrorism, extremism. But
I read it backwards.
Yeah. And so his arrogance is on display. That's why people are laughing at him.
Okay.
And it goes to show that the average citizen is not buying anymore.
Okay, correct it.
Do you remember what JW.org used to say? Babylon the Great has fallen?
Yeah.
What we're seeing right here today in that video that you're showing, it's almost like academia has fallen.
Correct.
Sorry about that. We're seeing out the uselessness of their paper. They're dumbass.
Hey, so can you see the next one on jw.org?
Let me see. jw.org. I see it, but I can't make it out. It says
Banana Republic.
Now, which country is saying it? I heard
the
president of El Salvador.
No, it only pulls up Republic, like country. Doesn't talk anything about Banana Republic. Banana Republic can't be found in watchtower.org. So there's no mention of Banana Republic. And this is very important because this is what everyone is accusing the United States of becoming. So you would think that the Jehovah's Witnesses would be educated on this.
Now, I notice you have a new picture. Is that Lloyd and ex-comedian Jay?
Yeah. That's Lloyd Evans and ex-comedian Jay. And Canada moves to begin euthanizing children without parental consent. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you have kids, don't you think the story is kind of important?
Yeah. Now, would JW.org speak anything of that?
I don't think so.
Now, do they talk about? Did you type? Now, their article says, "Can you face the future with confidence?" It's just a special Bible talk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna turn it off here. So why am I? There it goes. Why this is working, I don't know. So turn it off here. Turn this baby down. So turn it off here. Oh, there it goes. Turn this baby down. So turn it off here. Okay. Hey, Jess, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties. Hey, Jess, can you hear me?
Yes.
There it goes. Now that was just me having technical difficulties. But now I'm live. So, man, I'm glad you corrected me on that. But anyways, I just wanted to say these are things that should be on top.
Yeah, they're not going to. The Watchtower is just not going to. Yeah, I looked up most of those that you mentioned, and it doesn't have anything.
Yeah. Why is Watchtower not observing the world? Why is Watchtower not observing the world is what I'm saying.
Now, under observing the world, what kind of articles are present?
Well, I don't think Watchtower has that observing the world anymore, right?
Let me just, for the sake of argument, let me just type it in.
Yeah, I don't do a deep dive ever into J.org, but I just do their search. But
Right.
yeah, but it goes back where you're a religion and you're supposed to be looking out for the well-being of your you're supposed to be looking out for the well-being of your people, and they're not doing that. All of the information in watchtower.org, jw.org, is of no useful benefit for anyone in the world that we live in today. That's the sad part. I mean, are there other articles that should be there on watching the world?
Yeah. You know what? The interesting is the interesting thing is in observing the world.
Mhm.
If you go to watch jw.org today, it's not the same when we were kids.
Correct.
When we were kids, they would pick out news articles from the news, and they don't do that now. Now they use the world. They use the word "the world," and then they comment on it. Like, let me give you an idea. Here's one that says, "Will the earth end?"
Wow.
So those are the kind. That's what they on observing the world. They're playing with words, you know.
And it's like talking to an intellectual midget.
Yeah. Will there ever be peace? Well, they talk about that. They call it simplification. They
Mhm.
told us that years and years ago. They dumbed down the population.
Yeah. I think it was on my YouTube feed where a girl, she's in this car and she like crashes in the street in LA, like a glitzy part of LA. And she almost kills a homeless person. And then she gets out of the car and she takes her luggage out and she's on her cell phone and she finds somebody who's close by. And then she's in the car because she has someplace very important to go to. And she's in high heels and, maybe she's a high class hooker, who knows? And the people were just amazed that she was oblivious to, the fact that she almost killed somebody, the fact that the car is damaged. And she's just like, I got my suitcase and I got to go. And it's like the watchtower. They're oblivious to everything that's happening. And they're
Right.
like, yeah.
And who else was like that in the Bible?
Who?
Remember, there was somebody taking a road down to the temple, and they saw a man who was injured.
Oh, yeah, the religious leaders,
Jewish people.
the Jewish people. Huh?
The one going, and the Good Samaritan. He was like those people that you're talking about. You're just amazed that these people didn't have time to care for a wounded person.
Yeah. That's how yeah, there's a segment of the population like that. And this case, Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, why isn't the Jehovah's Witness reporting about little boys and girls, little boys, like 2 years old, or toddlers in a one of those carry,
Right.
and they're on the rivers of the banks of the Rio Grande, where coyotes and other animals can eat them and
Right. But they
kill them.
can't be bothered. They can't be bothered by that information.
But you would think that could be on observing the world. You would think that Watchtower would have an adoption agency where say, hey, we need to adopt some of these children that have been abandoned. Nothing.
Yes. Now we know how the game is played. We understand the thing. Thing is important to them. But here's the thing: it's also when you're in a battle, where you're in a spiritual struggle, you have to know your enemy. So you know that Watchtower doesn't consider any of man's sufferings as worthy. It's only their sufferings. For example, they don't care unless there's a witness in the tornado
Or Kingdom Hall.
or kingdom.
Like in Arkansas, in Little Rock, Arkansas, there was a tornado. No mention in jw.org. But if a Watchtower Kingdom Hall was in the Little Rock, Arkansas tornado today, it would be plastered all over their webpage begging for donations.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
So they're not concerned. They're not concerned with man's suffering. Now, there's a poet that talks about, and Martin Luther King talks about it a lot. For whom the bells toll.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because Jehovah's Witnesses don't have bells.
Correct.
But He says that no man is an island. Every man is a part of the continent. He goes, what affects one person affects the other person. You can't be a rich man if you're not concerned about the poor man, and he talks about that. But and he goes, don't ask whom the tolls bells toll for thee. But he talks about how he was always concerned about the sufferings of his fellow man, because no man is an island. What affects one person in one part affects another person, and everybody's busy, and we're not all are like that poet. But we know that Jehovah's Witnesses organization, they don't really care about any man's suffering.
No.
It's just their suffering. They're thinking, hey, for example, you talked about one time you met a Jehovah's Witness, and he told you a story about his son who's going to die in Armageddon. And he told his son, didn't his son ask him, Dad, will you remember me?
No, it's my brother Joe, and he had a Bible study who also became an elder with him. So my brother Joe was telling me the story about his Bible study. And they both have kids that are, like at that time they were like 15, 16 years old, and they were being rebellious and everything. And this Jehovah's Witness elder that served with my brother, and my brother Joe is talking about this proudly, told his 15-year-old son, 16-year-old son, that he's going to be so busy on paradise earth that he's not even going to remember him if he doesn't get his act straight. He's not there with, like, if he dies in Armageddon, he's going to be so busy in the new system. Imagine your dad telling you that. I'm going to be so busy in the new system with all the building projects, I'm not going to have time to remember you.
Wow. Now, our dad was a Catholic. He refused to convert to Jehovah's Witness. He's the only one in the family that didn't. And he never told me that.
No.
As a matter of fact, I took care of him till the last breath.
Yeah. So you know what they're doing all over the United States with the in Arkansas? They're doing GoFundMe for those people, and they're bringing in money for those people. Name me a time when Jehovah's Witnesses have any kind of GoFundMe for any publisher. No, doesn't happen. But they only have GoFundMe if the Kingdom Hall gets torn down.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're asking
now,
you. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there were witnesses that were affected. I'm sure there was witnesses that were affected there in Arkansas. So Watchtower is going to have, they're going to have it. But what it is in their national website, they don't advertise it.
Right.
So everything is done secretly, or they probably have everything personal. Everything is in-house. For example, they probably have a disaster relief committee. There's meeting, and then they have their brothers go out there. So they take care of everybody stealthily.
Yeah.
So I do believe they'll have people there working Arkansas right now, But once again, they're going to do a census and find out who are the witnesses affected.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they'll only take care of themselves. Going back to the poetry that I was saying, no man is an island. The Jehovah's Witnesses will only take care of themselves. Only of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as we saw today in the news, in Observing the World, all this information is going to be provided by Jehovah to protect his people. Saying, for crying out loud, look at the ingredients in your food. It says genetically modified materials on the ingredients. Don't feed that to your children. If you see this ingredient, it's really cricket powder. If you see this ingredient, it really means this. Changing words so making you think that you're ingesting poison. Like, for example, I've seen people, Jesse, that have kids and they have these bottles of water and they think that it's labeled for kids. Like, hey, this is bottled water for kids. And it contains fluoride, Jesse. The bottle says it's fluoride. So you're serving a newborn fluoride. You think
Yeah.
Watchtower might want to let people know, hey, we're Jehovah's people and Jehovah takes care of us. Be careful. Don't get those water bottles that are designed and marketed for little kids that say they're filled with fluoride in the front of the bottle. Where is Jehovah?
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you remember when we were kids in school? I don't know if you remember, but back in the 70s, we used to have a program called Swish and Spit.
Swish and spit, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was all fluoride shit.
Yeah, it was all fluoride. They used to line us, all the kids in school. Now, I remember our school was super segregated. Not segregated, but mixed. We were black, white, and Mexican. I mean, and I remember our school was very integrated better. And I remember the white kids, the black kids, and the Mexican kids. We were all in the Swish and Spit program. You know, they were abusing all us kids at the same time.
Yeah. I remember going to
Yeah,
the dentist, and they try to get Swish and spit. They're like, fuck that shit. I go, that's fluoride. I go, fuck you.
yeah. But I was only like 7 or 8 years old, so I didn't know how to say that word. Yeah, so I just did it. I was just lucky enough to speak English. I wasn't gonna say fuck you. Yeah. But I didn't know they were doing that to us kids. We didn't know. We were just going along. Yeah. But it's the responsibility of the adults to take care of the kids. What's going on here? It's the responsibility of Watchtower to take care of the publishers. Look out for publishers. Now, here's the interesting thing. Let's say they do have a committee, a disaster relief committee. What is the reason why they would do it secretly behind the scenes?
What is it?
There could be different reasons. How they're more organized, they're able to operate faster without less bureaucracy. So there's a lot of pros to the Watchtower's way of doing things. There's a lot of. So it's faster. More of the money can get to the person who needs it. But also, check this out. There's also some negatives to it. Because let's say the sister is inactive. Her inactivity, let's say a tornado rips through a sister's house, two sisters' house. One is inactive and the other is a pioneer. Who is going to get their house taken care of first?
Exactly.
Sister is going to have to do some makeup.
Yeah.
She's going to have to do something. She's going to have to beg, scratch, steal something to get them to work on her house.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. When a Mexican was in the congregation, Mexicans, and this is in the old days, old school. And there's a letter that the Watchtower gives to the brothers when they're going to become citizens. And all the letter says is that this brother was baptized on a certain day, a member of this congregation. There's nothing else in that letter. So what we would have people do, like guys that have been out of the organization for about 10 or 10 years, and then their citizenship came up. And they needed that letter because that was going to tell that they were Jehovah's Witnesses so that they didn't have to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Correct.
Okay, so they didn't want to do the Pledge of Allegiance so that they would have to prove that they're Jehovah's Witnesses. If they were Jehovah's Witnesses, they were considered conscientious objectors and the government recognized it. But they had to have a letter, not that they're conscientious objectors, just that they're members of the congregation. So what would the brother have to do? He'd have to come back to the organization and become an active publisher. I saw that time and time again. And the second the elders gave him the letter, they left the congregation. I'm sure that practice still goes on to this day. So what happens, look, let's say you come to the United States, you're an illegal alien, or a legal immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
and you're here in the United States, but you don't want to be a witness no more. You're leaving a hedonistic lifestyle and everything, or you're outside of their organization.
Correct. Mhm.
And then the Department of Immigration comes up and says, "Hey, your time is up. Your testing for your immigration is up." And you go and get everything, and you tell them that you're not going to be able to do the Pledge of Allegiance, so that they go, "Okay, can you give us a letter from your congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses?"
Mhm.
So that immediately they things. So how much you want to bet that that's why there's so many Spanish going to the Kingdom Halls, because they all want their letters.
Yeah, they need letters, documentation to give to immigration.
But all it is documentation that you're a publisher in that congregation. It'll give them your name, your date of birth, and the day you got baptized.
Mhm.
That's it. That's all it is. Watchtower doesn't get involved if you're going to not pledge allegiance or what.
Correct. Yeah, but once they get it, they leave.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for observing the world. Did you have any news articles that you saw?
I saw a lot of news articles, and some of you went by so fast, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that Italy, because I read that yesterday. And I think there's a fragmentation in the allies here, because Italy is considered a Western civilization, Western nations. And it's real interesting that they're breaking with other Western nations.
Mhm.
And so you're seeing a fragmenting of the Western, same as you're seeing in the BRIC system.
Correct.
For example, Mexico is traditionally always siding with the United States, traditionally.
Correct.
And that's why I was so surprised the other day when the news came out that Mexico wants to be part of the BRIC system.
Correct.
I got to tell you this story, Gilbert. This story is almost 50 years old. Since me and you were born, we were born working. We're Mexicans. And we've always had a little bit of money. And Dad always helped us. My dad always let us, work. We worked with our mom in the field, help her out. Anything we could do to make a buck, selling stuff at school. So we have a few dollars, and we would go to Mexico to be cousins. My dad would stop at the house exchange, the money exchange house. But I never went with my dad. I always kept my dollars. So if I had $1, $2, $3, I didn't want to exchange my dollars to pesos. So Mom and Dad would exchange their pesos right when we got to Mexico, their dollars into pesos, so that they could do the grocery shopping, or if we were going to go buy candy, or if we were going to go to the movies, anything. My dad liked to have pesos. And when me and you were playing with our cousins, we'd walk down to the grocery store, walk down to buy fireworks or buy candy or anything. I remember one time, probably about 50 years ago, or maybe 45 years ago, somewhere around that time. I remember giving all the cousins gave the money for their candy. And when I went up to pay, I whipped out $1. And I remember the guy in the counter looked at it with anger. And he asked me, "What is it? ¿Qué es eso?" He didn't know what $1 was. We were in Mexico. He wouldn't take the $1. And all the kids laughed at me. Now, this is reverse. This is reverse, like reverse back. Here, I'm an American kid in Mexico trying to pay with American dollar, and they won't take the $1. Now, if we went to that same store today, if we could find that store today, it was on 6th Street in San Luis. That's all they take probably is dollars. But what we're seeing now is that you have a country who takes the dollar willingly. It's part of the culture now. Is talking about going away from the dollar. All of this in our lifetime.
Yeah.
In our lifetime, we're seeing the rise of the dollar internationally, globally. The rise, because before we got there, nobody wanted the dollar. They wouldn't take the dollar. Then they started taking the dollar, and now they're trying to dump the dollar.
Mhm. And that should be on the front cover of J.org. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So Jehovah's Witnesses aren't gonna. Well, here's the thing, Gilbert. The average Jehovah's Witness. Do you think they go to jw.org for their news?
But they go regular, and the fact, you know, it's like anything. If Watchtower would just start producing good news, if you build it, they will come. But they're not producing any good news. They're not giving food at the proper time. That's all I'm saying. They say that they give food at the proper time, but the real meat and potatoes is nowhere to be found.
Now, these things that you're talking about, though, the reason why you're saying food at the proper time are of major consequential. You're talking about genetically modified food.
Mhm.
You're talking about central bank digital currency. We're talking about transgendering our children. These are all apocalyptic. Each one of these articles is apocalyptic in itself.
Correct.
These are 4 articles in one day, with each one of them could have been a story for 1 year. Like the transgender story could have been the story of an entire year. Enough. It's enough. It's a scandal in itself. But it's not a scandal today. In any other time in human history, that would have been the scandal of a lifetime. But today, it's just a blip on the news day.
Correct.
Yeah.
And again, nowhere to be found on jw.org.
Nowhere to be found on jw.org.
Jehovah's not feeding his people and letting them know that they're being fed genetically modified food.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's it.
And you know what, Gilbert? Another thing. One more thing. I remember in 1973, 74, when we used to have the Paradise Regained, Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained book.
Yeah.
And I remember my big brother and friends in the congregation describing to the children how Armageddon was going to be in 1975 when the end of the world. And I remember they told us that there was going to be dinosaurs, that the earth was going to open up and swallow people. Yeah. And now, you were too young, huh? You don't remember all that.
Yeah, I got the book right here in front of me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do you remember Joe telling us those stories?
No.
Because you were with, but you were so small that it didn't affect you mentally, huh?
Correct.
Right. But now, one of the things that I had a nightmare for like 50 years, I don't know where he got this from, but I guess they talked about the elements of fire, rain, wind. But one of the stories that the Jehovah's Witnesses back then, I remember because, so I must have been 5 or 6 years old at the time, but it scared the bejesus out of me. They told me that at Mount Rushmore, the president's mounts?
Yeah.
That they were going to open their mouth and hurricane-sized wind to come out. Now, I know that this story is stupid, right?
Correct.
But you say that to a 6-year-old kid, a 6-year-old boy. These are the stories that the Jehovah's Witnesses were saying in 1975. This is what I remember in 1973, hearing myself, my brother's telling me this. That'll scare the bejesus out of us. So in the 1970s, before the first Armageddon we had, not the one we're having right now, they were describing how, like in that book, how Armageddon was going to look.
Mm-hmm.
And they were envisioning the earth swallowing up people in the streets and fire and brimstone falling from the sky.
Correct.
But now we're literally having stuff like that happen. We're having people chopping off their private parts.
Yeah.
We're having people walking around like zombies with crank.
Yeah, with flesh-eating disease, like in the days of Jesus, leprosy.
We're having the military say that there's UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
We're making literally modified food. There's poisons being dumped into the river. We literally are going through Armageddon. And Watchtower is talking about panda bears.
Correct. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
42 minutes, man.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Well,
Real good.
yeah, if you guys know any more news articles, send them to
Now,
us. Uh-huh.
what about the comments at the bottom? Any questions?
No, 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 no. Just fixing my
No.
faith wants to know if you're my brother. Were
Oh,
you both elders? Yeah. Unfortunately, we were both elders.
mhm. We were in the Canada congregation, Yuma, Arizona.
Yeah. All right, man.
Okay, Gilbert.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later, man.